Hey, Ohio, with mobile sports betting now live, we know it can be a bit overwhelming deciding which sports book to use. That's why we wanted to tell you about BetQL. BetQL is your one-stop for all things sports betting related, from betting analytic trends to expert picks. Head on over to the BetQL app or to BetQL.com to get informed and get your betting win streak started. Use code OH25 for 25% off your first month. Head to BetQL.com/news/923TheFan for those exclusive sportsbook offers.
All right, he's Daryl Ryder. I'm Andy Baskin. Myles Garrett, obviously, there were two big videos that came out of last week's game against Cincinnati. One was Wyatt Teller, right? It was the Wyatt Teller 25-yard pancake that was just hysterical that I think everyone enjoyed a lot. The other was the dancing with Myles Garrett.
Yeah, well, so a little nugget on the Jed Wills blocking one, or sorry, the Wyatt Teller blocking one. I asked Alex Van Pelt about it, and I was a little surprised by the answer I got. Because I was like, hey, what'd you think about that video one? He goes, look,
it was hysterical.
He goes, I was just happy they didn't call the holding penalty. Because he goes, what happens is when you get a guy beat that bad, right? He's just getting his ass handed to him by an offensive lineman. A lot of times the official will throw a flag for holding. And, there are times where the sidelines go, I'm sorry, you threw a flag because he blocked it too well? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So AVP was like, sometimes you got to be a little, he goes, I worry about those places, great as they are and as good as Wyatt is. He goes, I'm always worried that a holding penalty is going to get called. I mean, because let's be honest, Wyatt blocked that guy into next week. And it was textbook. It was two hands in front. Again, like I was talking about in that last segment, Andy, about the steering. Like that's exactly what Wyatt Teller did on that play. He came up, grabbed the guy right in the chest, and just steered him 25 yards down the field. And he didn't hold him. Like it was done without holding him. But yeah, I found that comment from Alex Van Pelt to be a little illuminating and a little surprising too. The fact that he worries on those big mega Teller blocks that holding penalties get called because Wyatt Teller is too good at his job as the right guard.
It's funny. All right, let's talk about Myles Garrett for a second. I know everyone wants to talk about his advancement into the line where he's swaying back and forth and doing a dance. I do want to bring this up, though.
Actually,
and if you haven't,
it was dribbling.
Dribbling, yeah. Swaying, dribbling. I don't know. It looked like he was dancing.
He was doing he's standing up. He's like doing the dribbles between the legs. Like, I'm about to cross you over. And then he actually did the crossover. Like,
right.
He actually crossed over on the center. The center was helpless. The quarterback ran for his life. It was fantastic.
And what was the feeling? Was there talk about that at camp during the week or in Berea?
Yeah, they're all laughing about it. Garrett's like, yeah. Well, Kevin Stefanski's like, I don't care if he goes. I hope he goes behind the back the next time. I don't care as long as he's doing what he's supposed to do. Which, by the way, don't be surprised if you see Myles Garrett out there doing it behind the back or something. I don't know, but I thought it was great. Look, I mean, this is the thing about Jim Schwartz's defense that fans are really going to come to love. Not just the production on the field. He's big into camaraderie. He's big on, you get a sack, you're celebrating with the other 10 guys on the field with you. You break up a pass down the field, you're celebrating with the other 10 guys. You pick off a pass, you're celebrating with the other 10 guys, right? He's very big into that, and I think that that's gotten these guys really to buy in and be unselfish. Like, okay, when he lined Myles up over the center on that play, right? Myles is standing there, he's doing that crossover bit or whatever. Like, Kevin Stefanski even mentioned this past week, like, he knew what was about to happen. He knew some fool was about to get destroyed by Myles Garrett, right?
Right.
And, the fact that Schwartz will draw, okay, this is Myles' play. This plays for Zadarius Smith. This plays for, Dalvin Tomlinson to get after court, whatever. He comes up with equal opportunities. And for all of his guys, it's not just predicated on Myles Garrett having to carry the defense, right? And I think that that's so important when you talk about the overall team success. Because let's be honest about it, how many times in seasons past, Andy, we'd be watching him be like, all right, it's time for Myles to do something. Myles has to do something. Myles has to make a play here. Myles has to take this game over right now, right? I mean,
right.
That you don't have to do that now. Granted, we're still saying stuff like that, right? Okay, well, who's Myles going to destroy on this snap and make him look really stupid? but it's not just predicated solely on Myles Garrett making a big play. And so what you're going to see with this defense, Andy, and this is why I think they're going to be really, really good. It's more than just the scheme. These guys had fun last. Denzel Ward said this past week, most fun he's had on a field with the Browns.
Wow, really?
Playing in that game. Had a ton of fun.
That's great news. That's great news.
Okay. And what happens is these guys are having fun, like legit having fun, not just saying that, but they're legit out there having fun because dudes are making plays. That's going to make them even better. So that's what's got me really, really excited about this defense. Not just seeing the buy-in, not just seeing that week 1 success, but really feeling, because like you're in the locker room, you can feel the mood of the team. And the early vibe, and I know we've only had like 2 weeks in the locker room per se, because during training camp, we do all our interviews under, out on the field and things like that. It's a little different when you're in the locker room because you got guys coming in and out of that room and stuff like that. Like Fridays, there's or in this case, this past week was Saturday, ton of energy in that locker room on Saturday. Last week, leading up to the Bengals game, ton of energy in the locker room. And when I say that, that's a positive thing. Like, I'm not being critical. Like,
sure,
guys are joking around, yelling, busting each other's chops, playing some music and things like that. So when you have players that are legit having fun, I think that changes the team dynamic a little bit, right? You don't have this, you don't have the Kevin Stefanski, we're all showing up in our suit and tie and we're here to do a job. This is our job. Your job is this. Your job is that. Your job is that. If they screw that up, you have to come over and do that. You know what I'm saying? Because that's basically what it was last year. And yeah, they have a job to do. They know they have a job to do. And that's why you don't hear a lot of trash talk coming out of that locker room these first 2 weeks, right?
Right.
That's all by design. Hey, we're going to do our talking on the field. Like I think Grant Delpit was one of them.
As long as you're winning and you're playing good football, that all works. But once things start to lose, you see what you're made of, right, and you see what that glue is. Right now, the glue is pretty thick, and it's going to hold these guys together. A little bit of controversy, and then you start to see what the issues are. Yeah, and I'll be honest with you, this locker room right now, Andy, doesn't strike me as one that's going to be filled with a lot of controversy. No drama. That's it's the best theory any team could ever have at any sport at any level. No drama. I mean, and we talked about this like during training camp, and I was like bemoaning the fact that it was such a boring training camp, right? Because it really was a boring training camp. That was like the best thing ever for the Cleveland Browns. Like, I agree. All right, when we come back, Daryl, I have another point I need to bring up here too. I want to finish that Myles Garrett story, and there's another story in football, and you got to wonder if it would work in the NFL from the college ranks. We'll touch on that next. It's always game day in Cleveland.